Now we're going to take a look at other types of equations, mainly roots. When we talk about a root, like a square root or a cubed root, we're talking about finding what number raised to a particular power equals a given number. A root is often expressed in this form, where the n is what we call the index. That tells us if we're looking for a squared root or a cubed root. Remember, if we're looking at a squared root, that's understood to be a 2. Now, we often hear the word radical, and we often use that interchangeable. We'll ask for a root or the radical, but the radical is really just the notation. It's that little house there. The x, or x to the r, that is our radicand. And the r is the exponent of that radicand. So let's review what it means to take like a square root or a cubed root. You may remember that the square root of 16, and again, that's understood to be an index of 2, square root of 16 equals 4. Why does it equal 4? Again, by that definition, we have found the number that if we took it to that index as an exponent, it would give us that radicand back. So the square root of 16 is 4 because 4 squared gives us 16. Now, in the real number system, we cannot take the square root of a negative number. This one does not exist. Some people will write D and E for that, or they may write undefined. The reason is, even if we took that -3 times -3 and squared it, we would still get a positive 9. There is not a number in the real number system that if we were to square a negative, we would get a negative number. Now in part C, we're looking for the cubed root of 27. The cubed root of 27 would be 3. That is because if we took the number 3 and cubed it, in other words, 3 times itself 3 times, we would get the number 27. The interesting thing about having an odd root, like a cubed root, like we have in D, we can have a negative result because we can take the number -2 and cube it. That would be -2 times a -2 times a -2, and it would give us a -8. Notice -2 times -2 is a positive 4 times that -2. It does, in fact, give us that -8. So you might want to make yourself a note. We can have negatives with odd indexes.